that when moms speak, they know that when I speak, I will talk forever until someone tells me to be quiet.
I think that because when you're passionate about something, it's hard to be like cut and dry and like to the point, like his stories are everything, right?
Exactly.
There's a story attached to everything we experience, so we have to share it for it to make sense.
Yep, we have to.
Okay, so let me just introduce you. Hey everyone, today is August 14th. This is our monthly training for leaders, and we're so grateful and excited and blessed to be able to have the amazing Chelsea Otto, Superstar Director. And I hope you, most of you I've talked to about watching her breakout for Scentsy Family Reunion. It was one of the first ones I saw, and it just, oh my gosh, blew my mind how, real and authentic and no excuses at all. Like, this has to be done. I'm going to make it happen no matter where I am, what's happening. And because of that, she's been able to really overcome a lot, and maybe not even overcome. There's a lot of things they're still dealing with to this day, right now, as we speak. But look at that beautiful smile on her face, and she's still here to show up for other people that she's not even connected to. She just wants to share her heart and her love for what she does and her knowledge and experience. And so for that, I'm so grateful. So I'm just gonna shut my mouth and I'm gonna get my notebook open because I know I'm gonna learn a lot today. And so, Miss Chelsea, please take her away. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you. You're just the sweetest. And I feel like a little bit of a hypocrite because I was supposed to be on here last week and my move went left. And so I do apologize because I know I was supposed to be on here last week. But life happens and it's okay to reschedule and it's okay to step back. So I do want to say that I understand 100% that life gets crazy. Life will throw the worst obstacles your way, ones that you've even thought you planned for, and it still happens. So first and foremost, always give yourself grace as a leader because you can't do all the things. So I want to talk a little bit about how I have created the leadership that we have. And it's not just me who has created this leadership. It's the other leaders within our leadership who have helped create this. But how we've gotten to this point, I feel like is super important to know, because I get asked it a lot on how do you create leaders? How do you identify them? How do you have sustainable leaders, not just leaders who hit it and then fall off? Because that does happen. That's reality. We're in direct sales. It happens. And I'll go over this binder system that one of my star directors and I created that is stupid simple. Like, my kids could do it, and that's how simple it is. And it's for consultants brand new all the way up to superstar directors. But first and foremost, how I identify leaders is very different. Obviously, I do the whole 500 PRV. I do the whole, are they paid a title, all of that. But some things that I look for that I really don't hear a lot of people talk about is, are they communicating with their team? Are they hosting their own team meetings? Are they doing one-on-one coaching calls? Are they leading from the front? Meaning, are they active on the team page? Are they communicating with their upline? I feel like that's another thing that's super important, to have a great relationship with your upline. And if you don't, well, there's more uplines for you to have a great relationship with, because it's a family tree. And are they taking the steps to better their business? How are they working their business? Are they focusing on their business first and then their team, or is it vice versa? Because if it's vice versa, then we have to have a talk about that. Because when you want to be a leader, your business should always come first before anybody's. And that's how this system is created in this binder, specifically for you first, then your leaders. So when I see a leader is doing 500, when I see that they're doing paid a title, recruiting, all of that stuff, and I don't care like what generation they are to me. I feel like a lot of people in Scentsy get stewardship and ownership mixed up. I feel like it does not matter what generation they are to you. If you identify them as a leader and you say, hey, I think you could be a leader one day in our leadership. It's never my leadership. It's always our leadership. I say, hey, I'd like to get on a call with you. Maybe let's add your sponsor, maybe let's add your director, and let's do something. Let's make a plan together. And obviously I've already talked to their director, and most of the time, because I have a great relationship with them, everything's cool. Like, they understand how I work, I understand how they work. And at the end of the day, we're always better together. And again, don't mix up ownership with stewardship. I feel like there's so many people who feel like they own their teams when they hit a director status. And I'm not saying you guys are like that, but I feel like a lot of people in Scentsy are like that. And I feel like that holds people back from wanting to be a part of something bigger, something more than what they're at right now. So we get them on a call. If it's just me, or if it's with their sponsor, or with their director, or all four of us, or all three of us, whatever it is, we get them on a call or on the phone, something, and we make a plan. And we tell them exactly how leadership is, how our leadership is, what we expect from you when you do hit director. And we ask them, why do you want to be a director? Why do you want to be in leadership? And if their response is, I want the title, I'm going to look at them and say, honey, your title isn't going to pay your bills. Your work ethic will. It can never be about the title when you hit leadership. It shouldn't be about title anyways, no matter what title you're at or earning or trying to push for. It's never about the title, because the title is never going to pay your bills. That's just something connected to your name that Scentsy puts on a display at SFR. That's it. I never, when I do calls, I'm glad Jessie did that, because I wouldn't have said superstar director. I would have been like, hi, I'm Chelsea Otto. And I would have given some fun facts, and I would have said, everybody throw your titles out the door, because that's not what we're here for. I usually start all my calls like that, unless I have to do it for Scentsy. That is it. But I feel like so many people focus on the title than actually the work. And that's when immediately, if they say that they're wanting it for a title, I have to correct it, because that's not going to keep them around. That's not going to want them to get up every single day and work. It has to be beyond a title. It has to be beyond that thing that's next to their name. So once we identify why they're here, why they want to be a leader, if they need more money, if they need whatever reason it is, then we make a plan, and we start implementing these systems that my star director and I created. And so I'll go into this right now, but how it works is, hold on, I put my bills in here and y'all don't want to see that. So at the beginning of the binder, it has our August calendar. It has every month in there for them to start planning out their months. And it's already pre-done, so all you have to do is print it all out and put it on there. And so you flip it over to right here. This is where it works your business first before your teams. Now, how I work my business is the first week of the month, I don't do any coaching calls. I don't do any team trainings. I don't do anything. It is only my business, my customers, how all the stuff that I front loaded is now going into play. I sit there and make my bulk samples. I do all my samples to get them out. And then I start prepping for the second and the third week with my team. So all right here, it has my Scentsy Club subscribers. There's a form for that. There's a form for pre-orders, all my pre-orders. There's random happy mail form, sample request form, and this is all for your business, your personal business. Random happy mail, thank you, follow-up trackers, there's everything you need in your business for your personal business right here. And then the second and the third week, when I go to my own team, my group, all of that. And it also has the annual sales tracker and the annual mentor tracker. So then right here is when we get into the leadership part. Reports to pull every single month. This is very important when you are trying to also identify leaders. You're going to want to pull the PRV 3 times a month, once in the first week, on the 15th, and at the end of the month. This is going to keep you ahead of the game when you are trying to identify up and coming leaders. It's going to see who your top PRVers are, your top recruiters, top team, top group, everything is right there for you, and you get to see it. And yet there's little check marks that you can do. And see right here, it shows I've got my first part of it, and so on the 15th, I'll do it again. And at the end of the month, I'll do it again. Same with TWV. Also, I look at my active frontline. I I feel like active frontline is so important because that's a part of your business where you get paid. It's very important to focus on the areas where you get paid. Your business, your active frontline. And then if you have leaders, then your leaders. And then you're going to pull recruiting. How many recruits is your team pulling? How many new ones are they adding to your team every single month? The ones who are rockstar recruiters, you need to identify them also and see how their PRV is. Because if their PRV is slacking, but they're rockstar recruiters, then you guys need to get them on a call to talk about that PRV. Because the PRV should be the first thing that's skyrocketing before recruiting. Okay, and then you do shooting star, sensational start, pull reports for that. And then check who is close to certified. And right here, you'll see that I write their names down next to them just to identify who is close to certified. And then any type of reports that you guys want to add, there's plenty of room to add down here, and notes and all that stuff. So it's pretty basic stuff, but I feel like as leaders, we try to do all the things and we get overwhelmed and then we don't know what to do. We're just kind of like, what do I do with my hands? What's going on? But this keeps you in line for the 1st, the 15th, and the end of the month. And Jesse understands the 1st and the 15th. It's kind of like military payday. It's like, oh, it's the 1st, payday. It's 15th, payday. It's kind of how it works. It's just basic. It's the exact same thing. And so after that, right here, you have your new consultant checklist. Sorry about that. It's a new consultant checklist. This also has their join date. Make sure the first things first is completed. I don't even talk to my new consultants until their first things first is completed. I know that sounds really mean, but that's going to also show me who is wanting to work this like a business. Have they announced on social media? Launch party scheduled? List of 100 created? List of 100 has been something that I've been doing since I joined 8 years ago. And I feel like a lot of people get away from it, but it's so important to identify 100 people. We all have over 100 people on Facebook. There's no reason why they can't find 100 people. And then check in on them on their 15th day. Did they order the shooting star kit? Show them the training center. Show simple systems. The system I'm showing you. Did you go over the comp plan? And then 70th day. So that part is pretty basic. But here's the part that's going to be really fun for directors. This is when your team is going to start growing. You're going to start getting leads, stars, superstar consultants, and directors under you. These are the people that you're going to identify. You're going to have a form here that's called Lead the Way. Those are all of your certified pushing for lead. So these are all the people. I'm redoing mine right now because half of mine got crumbled up in our move. But these are my girls who are pushing for lead. It's going to show their title, their previous month PRV, previous month GWV, their team size, their active frontline, total frontline for this month. Show them the simple systems. Are they active on the team page? And did you get a coaching call in place, like a date? And why that is important for them to be active on the team page is all those things that I said before. I look if they're interacting on our social team page, our big group page. My group page is open to everybody within our group, and all my directors have their own group pages. But mine is more of the community. It's like your community pool. Like you have your little pools everywhere, but then you have your one big pool that everyone comes to for big things. That's kind of how mine is. And everybody's welcome. There's people on there that we've adopted, and it's welcome for all. And the best thing is you'll never know who the best in the room is on that page. Never. Because we've kind of implemented all these people who are active on the team page. They're showing up. They're doing their own shout outs. They're doing all these things, all the things that a leader should be doing the second they hit lead. And then we got the same for Shoot for the Stars. You've got your title, previous month, all the things, all the people who are shooting for star consultants from lead. These are all and these, I always say star is the backbone of our company because those are right in the middle. They're still a new leader, or they've been around for a little while, but they're the ones that are up and coming in this company. Your superstar consultants, they're about to hit director, but your stars, they're the ones that are brewing. They're the ones that we should be really focusing on because they are new, they're ready, they're hungry, they want all the things. So those are like my backbone. So I focus heavily on my stars. And then there's a form for step up to superstar. Those are my stars going to superstar consultants, and then dash to director. These are all of the superstars pushing for director. And this one is super important to me because these are my next first gens. These are just my team, not my group. So I focus heavily on them. My stars and my superstars going to director. I focus heavily on them, and I work side by side with them. They probably get so annoyed with me, but it's fine. So all these forms are on, Jesse, I'll send you the link. They're all on here. And there's so many more forms that we've added. So just beware. And then we've got coaching call forms. They're super basic. It's their names, their join date, date of the coaching call, last month's PRV, TWV, GWV, group size. Are they connecting with their frontline and downline? That's another, remember I said how I identify is, are they having those conversations with their own team? What's their why? And then we write it down. What motivates them to work and grow their business? What's the biggest obstacle they're trying to overcome right now? I don't like when people say, what are you failing at right now? Or what's your biggest issue? I don't like the word issue. I look at it as, what's your obstacle right now? Because obstacles can get over. Like you can get over obstacles. So go on. Go on. So those coaching call forms are all right there. And that's pretty basic. That's all it is. And it's for certified, or it's for brand new consultants all the way up to superstar directors, all the way. And it's super, super simple. And I've tried about 100 systems. And this is the only one that I can keep up with because it's that simple. So that has helped me identify leaders. And I don't work with people who say they want it, but then don't do anything. I feel like, that's wasted energy. I love them. They know that, but it's wasted energy when you are putting all your time into effort into somebody who just does a lot of this, but doesn't put numbers on the board. If they put numbers on the board for a little bit, I'll work with them. But the second they stop, I stop. Because I don't want to waste my energy. And you shouldn't waste your energy as leaders either, because your energy is very valuable. Your time is very valuable. So you wouldn't want someone to waste their time. Why would you want to waste your time? And also, I always ask people, did anyone chase you to go for your goals? No. So you should not chase anybody. If no one chased you, you shouldn't chase anybody. That's time wasted. Put your time and your effort into people who really want it. The people who are showing up. The people who are, if you see somebody on a call, every single call, you identify them and you say, hey, why don't you lead one of our calls next week or next month? Because they're showing up and obviously they're hungry for something. So challenge them to get out of their comfort zone and challenge them to do a call, something about they feel comfortable about. Whether it's PRV, whether it's coaching, whether it's recruiting, whether it's parties. I mean, we have so many things to talk about. Identify them, let them run a call for a little while. I stopped doing a lot of the calls for my team, and I have other leaders within just my team who do the calls. Because it shouldn't just be me doing all the things, because that's when people become dependent on me, and I don't want people to be dependent. We are independent for a reason. So I identify my up-and-coming leaders, and I say, hey, I'd love to have you do a call on whatever you want, whatever you feel you are the most strong at, and you lead the call that night. And half of the time they're like, oh, I'm running a call. Yes, you. I'm like, do you want to be a leader? And they say yes. I'm like, well, this is part of leadership. You're going to be doing calls. And I always try to share that you don't have to do 100 bajillion, quadrillion calls a month. You just need to do 1 to 2, maybe 3 good calls with your team. That's very informative. That's effective. Like you don't have to do, I feel like I run out of topics if I do one every single week. Like if I'm personally talking every single week, I'm like, what am I talking about this week? Like we've already talked about this 2 weeks ago. Like, so I have to bring in fresh eyes, fresh blood, basically, a new perspective. Even if it's something that I've already talked about, it's somebody else, and somebody could resonate with that person a lot more than me. People may look at me and say, she's a superstar director. I can't connect with her. It's like, okay, but I have other people that I'm going to bring in and you're going to connect with and you're going to resonate with, whether they're a lead, star, superstar consultant. People identify better with those kind of consultants sometimes than they do a director and above, just because people get intimidated, not by the names, but by the title. So I bring in consultants, up and coming leaders to do some of our trainings. That way people are like, okay, I understand. Like, they're still going through this process of building a clientele and finding new team members and trying to do all these things. So have your team members run some of your trainings. It's amazing, because then you're like, oh crap, I need to write this down. Like, that's a really good idea. You know, that's why I always say you can learn from a brand new consultant more than you can from an OG consultant, because that's fresh eyes coming in. And they have a whole new perspective on a lot of things. I mean, that obviously they've watched you. They're going to tell you if they saw something that they didn't like. I mean, they joined you for a reason. So they're going to say, you know, there's some things that I wish we could do in this business, and you take it and you kind of implement it. So have your teams do some of your trainings, especially your stars and your superstar consultants, because those are the ones who, especially your stars, who are hungry, and they need to be identified, because the second they hit superstar, they're going for director. So it's basically like groom them and then let them do their thing. Another thing that I do not do is I don't handhold. I do not handhold. That's something that I used to do, and it bit me in the butt. And then finally I said, no more. I cannot do this. I cannot be answering my phone at 1:00 in the morning or 7:00 in the morning. I can't do it. And especially as our team grows, I can't do it all. So I've implemented business hours. If you do not have business hours, this is very, very important. I start working, or at least on my customer page, I start working technically to them at like 8:00 in the morning, but that's because I've scheduled my posts. So it looks like I'm working at 8:00 in the morning, but really I'm slowly walking down my stairs trying to get a cup of coffee. So I scheduled my post for my customer page, but for my team, they know 9:00. Nope, you don't call, text me, or I will, if you can call and text me, but I won't respond until about 9:00. And then I stop working around, depending on if I have trainings, about 5. But if I have trainings, I stop at 5, and then I take my break with my family, and then I get back on at 9, and then no more after 10. But that's only if I have training nights. So implement business hours. I don't work on Saturdays. I've stopped working on Saturdays. I've earned that. That's another thing. A brand new consultant should not be not working every single day, because they're still new. They're still building. I've built something for 8 years, and I'm still building, but I've earned that day to rest, completely rest, because of how I have worked my business the last 8 years. I've earned to take a full day off every single week, and that's okay, but that's earned. And I try to share that so much, that in order to rest, you have to earn it. You can't just post something one time and expect your business to be boom, glorious, earning all the things, promoting. You can't do that. So I have really gotten on my group about business hours. Even if they're a brand new consultant, they, like I said, don't take a full day off, but start working at a certain time, end at a certain time. Target closes, Starbucks closes, Home Goods closes, all these amazing stores that we wish were open 24/7 close. Why can't we? We're owners, we're business owners, we deserve to close too. So make sure that you open and close, and make sure that you tell your team. My new team members get something in their email with my business hours. Sometimes they forget about it, and that's fine. I give them grace. And as time goes on, they're always like, oh crap, I forgot you don't, like, I know it's late, and I forgot that you stop working at 10 o'clock or whatever time on these days. And they start respecting it. And guess what they start doing? They start implementing it. They start seeing that, okay, if Chelsea can open up and close at certain times, I can do that too. And it's such an easy thing to do, but it's such a really hard thing to implement, because we want to help all the people. But you will burn out faster than you click join if you do not learn to rest, because you're going to keep going and going and going and going and going and going, and you're not going to stop. And your family's going to look at you and be like, I thought you quit your 9 to 5 to have freedom. This is not freedom. This is not freedom if you are constantly running around like a chicken with no head, not being organized, not having a schedule. That's not freedom. You're trapped. So this system that we created, literally, it's so stupid simple. Like, I wish we would call it the stupid simple systems, because that's what it is. And then how I work my business the first week, the last 2 weeks, and then the last week, I am prepping for front loading. So my PRV is skyrocketing on the first week. So I can focus on my team and my group the last 2 weeks. And then it's like a cycle. But I've earned that. And that's why I try to tell everybody, your season of life is different than mine. I know what you're going through when late nights, early mornings, staying up late, trying to contact all the people. I've been there where the t-shirt, took it off, ripped it up, threw it in the trash. That's where I've been. But that's earned. That is earned. But you can do little things so you don't burn out. Like I said, 9 to whatever times, that's when you open, that's when you close. When you make samples, do bulk samples so you're not randomly just doing all the samples all week, every week, doing all the things. It's 1 week for you, 2 weeks for your team. If you have a team, if you don't have a team, every week is for you. It's glorious. So 1 week for you, 2 weeks for your team, last week for you, prepping for the next week that's for you. But it's basically just prepping yourself so you're not overwhelmed as a leader. It helps you focus solely on your customers, solely on you, because you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody. And I feel like so many leaders forget this. You cannot pour from an empty cup at all, at all. You will burn. You will flatten out. And if you burn out, guess what's going to happen to your team? Your team's going to burn out. And if you're not doing something as far as like PRV, recruiting, parties, sample making, whatever, if you're not doing it, don't expect your team to. Do not get mad if your team's sales are in the garbage because yours are in the garbage. You are a direct reflection of how your team is. If you want your team to have great sales and great GWV and rockstar recruiters, guess what you got to be? High seller, rockstar recruiter, parties, all the things. You are a direct reflection of how your team should be. I never ask my team to do stuff that I don't do. I don't ask my leaders to do stuff that I don't do. If I do, I feel so guilty, but I won't. If I'm doing coaching calls, I do not ask them to do coaching calls if I'm not doing them, because then I feel like I'm that CEO of the company with my feet on my desk, just sitting back, drinking a scotch or whiskey, whatever, just not doing anything. I feel like that. And I have such a big work ethic because I've worked since I was 14. So I love it, which is why I need business hours or I won't stop. But I feel guilty if I'm not working and other people are. And I feel like every leader should feel like that. But that's just me. But having the system, having the way that my schedule is, it helps me realize, okay, I can work and I can rest at the same time, but it's also earned. That's a huge thing. And remember that it's okay to say no as a leader. You do not have to do all the things. Please don't do all the things. I don't do whiff box. I love whiff boxes. And if you do whiff boxes, fantastic. I don't do them. That's too much for me. And I feel like a lot of people overcomplicate leadership. Leadership is not hard. It's really not. Because if you continue doing things the day that you join over and over and over, if you consistently stay with PRV, consistently do follow-ups, consistently do sampling, consistently recruiting, guess what? You're basically doing that in leadership. You're already doing it. And as leaders, we should start implementing that with our lead consultants. And that way, by the time they hit director, it's not so scary. They just have a new title. That's it. But if they continue doing that, it's not scary. Because the very first time I ever had a person look at me and say, I'm scared to be in leadership. And I was like, why? And just like that, just nonchalantly. And that's just who I am. They were like, because I feel like I have to do all these things. And I said, what all things? Like, are you talking about? And they're like, well, recognition. I have to send out happy mail. I have to have certain PRV now. And I'm like, but you already have the PRV. So that's nothing. You're already recruiting. That's nothing. Happy mail, you can do it through email. I don't care. Or don't do it at all. I said, it's completely up to you. And a big thing as leaders, we tend to compare what other leaders are doing and trying to do all of what they're doing. But guess what? That takes away from who we truly are as a leader, not leaders, but as a leader. Is that something that you would normally do? Or is it something that you're trying to grab from another leader and you're like, I want to try that, or I want to be like that, or I want to make my team feel like how she's making her team feel? No. Keep it really simple. Keep it really simple. You don't have to do all these things. And I've stepped back and I've had to evaluate my leadership and personally, so I don't overcomplicate it and make it look like you have to do all these things as a leader. So I've really done that. I've told them, hey, you can send out half mail if you want, or just send out emails. Like, I send out emails and it's so glorious. I send out one at the mid-month to let people know where they currently are at in our top 50, top 100 in our group and my team. And that explodes. That makes people feel happy just as much as a stinking postcard. It's right there on your workstation. You type it up, you send it out. That is it. And I tell them all the time, you don't have to do big and grand to make people feel good. You can do simple and small, and that's still going to be very impactful. So don't think that if you do any happy meal, it has to be big and grand. Just throw a crap ton of confetti on there and you're golden. Like, confetti, all my team members' husbands hate me because I just throw so much confetti on there, but it's fun. And that's what people need to remember, and go back to the basics of this company. Have fun with it. Even if this is my full-time job, why would I want to be so serious? Why? I want to have fun. I want to keep it simple. I want to throw confetti everywhere. I want to laugh with my leaders. I want to laugh with my team members and still be serious sometimes. But most of all, I want this to be fun, because that's what Scentsy is. It's so much fun when you allow it to be. So my best advice from one leader to another, from one consultant to another: I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. We're just here together to help. And don't compare. Don't compare. Remember, what you see on social media is always glorified for the most part. There's always nitty and gritty behind the scenes of a business owner. My office was a hot mess about 20 minutes ago, and everything's pushed over here. That's life, okay? That's life. So be real with your team. Let them know that you are failing. Let them know that you make mistakes. I go live on my team page, and they get a kick out of when I mess up. And because it's a hot mess half of the time. So be real, be honest, be raw, and know that if you are here, it's for a purpose. Don't compare yourself to anybody, and keep identifying leaders. Always identify. I don't care if they're a brand new consultant and they are rocking it, you attach them to your hip, because that is your up and coming leader. The second, I have 2 of them that are killing it right now that I was not expecting to kill it. They're killing it right now. And I was like, nope, you're attached to my hip, because 1, I'm learning from you, and 2, we're going to help you become a director one day, because it's going to happen. And don't be afraid to like I said, to tell people no. You don't have to do all the calls. Don't respond back right away when people ask you all these questions, because they're going to ask probably the most ridiculous questions. I'm sure you guys have heard, like, when is something coming out, even though it's on the workstation. You do not have to respond. Like, you do not have to. You are not the boss. You are not the owner. We are independent consultants for a reason. There's the workstation. So I take about 30 minutes to about an hour before I ever respond to that stuff. And usually they find it between our workstation and our group page. They find it on their own. And you know what that's doing? That's them being teachable. That's them teaching themselves where to find things. So you're not hand-holding. Hand-holding will be the death of you if you keep doing it. So there's that. Also, these systems. Get this in place or find something that works best. If you use Amy or Maven or whatever, more power to you. I could not do that. It was too much. It was overwhelming. This has helped. I'm a pen and paper type of person. This can come with me wherever I'm at. When I'm in the hospital with my husband, this comes with me along with another notebook. Like that, this is all I need in my phone. That's it. And it's back to the basics. Jessie, you've been around a lot longer than I have. You know what it used to be, just back to the basics of things, keeping it stupid simple and have fun. Like have fun with your leaders, your up and coming leaders. Have a theme night for your team. Have other people train your team. Have other leaders come onto your team page and chat with them. Have people with a lead brand or have a brand new consultant come on who is killing it and have her share what she's doing, because she could be doing something that's going to resonate with someone else, not you, because you're the big bad leader here. You're the big grand glorious one. We need to see other people step up. And also the stars and superstars, they should already be doing calls with their own team members. Don't ever let people depend on you, because we are independent for a reason. They should not ever be dependent on you. And I had to stop that with my group because they were depending on me to always do these calls. And I was like, I don't have time to do all these calls. Especially over the last 2 years, I didn't have time to do all these calls. I barely had time to do our SFR video, but I did it somehow. But you have to prioritize, and it's okay to say no. And it's okay to challenge your team to do their own calls. Like if they want to be a leader, okay, let's do the steps to be a leader. And don't be afraid to rest and take time for yourself. If you're at a point in your business where you're like, I need at least a full day to just rest, do it. Do it on a Saturday. Right now, there's no events really going on because of the coronavirus. Take Saturday and just not work. Have stuff scheduled, obviously, but watch you pull back a little bit and see your team page just keep going. And I've always said, if you can take a step back and your team page is consistently still growing and going and people are active, you've done it right. Because if something happens, if there's an emergency, I don't think I would have been able to survive. My team page was not going when everything happened with my husband. My team page was still going without me. And I was like, this is glorious. But that was because of years put into work to build that. So if you're not at that stage, it's okay. You will get there. You just got to continue showing up every single day. And it's not showing up for just 15 minutes. It's going to be, I need to sit down and do a few things really well every single day, whether it's 2 to 3 things. Simplify that. Don't try to cut all the fluff out, okay? Throw a lot of confetti, but cut all the fluff. Do 2 to 3 things every single day that is income producing. Where are the areas that you can get money from, okay? Your active frontline. Your active frontline, at least half of your frontline should be active every single month. That is one of my personal goals, and that is something I harp on my team about. If half of your frontline is not active, you're not working with them. So active frontline, that's where you get your money from. If you have leaders, like directors underneath you, you get money from them. And then your personal PRV. Everything else is fluff right now. Those are the areas where you should heavily focus on. And then every single day, do a few things, 2 to 3 things every single day for your business. Unless you're taking a day off, then I want you to fully take the day off. Don't even go on your group page. Don't go on your team page. Don't go on your customer page. Don't respond. Unplug. Unplug. And if you've done those 2 to 3 things every single day, you've earned your rest. You've earned it. And don't feel guilty. Don't ever let anyone make you feel guilty for resting and for taking time for your family. Because that's why you originally started, right? It was for your family and for yourself and for freedom. This is how you get to freedom. This is how I'm retiring my husband. This is how he's going to be able to heal because of Scentsy. Because I've put in 8 years worth of work and never gave a single excuse, except for last Friday. But that was out of left field. But seriously, it's okay to rest. Encourage your team to rest too. Because if they keep going and going and going, what's going to happen? They're going to burn out, and then they're going to want to quit. And then it's like, you got to start all over again. And if you are a leader that is struggling with your team, because we all have those team members that are just a little crazy, right? So it's okay. We all have those. It's all right to build a new team. That's the beauty of this business. You don't like how your team is right now? Build a new one. Build a new one. Rebrand your whole team. I had to say that to one of my directors, and the second she started recruiting and bringing in new eyes and new blood and all these people, her entire team completely changed. And now she's hitting director every single month. And this was someone who was on DQ, like last minute hitting director numbers. But because she made a whole new team, like I said, it's a direct reflection of you. She checked herself. It's okay to give yourself reality checks. Like, look at yourself and say, hey, get your crap together. Stop talking bad about yourself, and let's get to work. You gotta do that sometimes. I do it every single day, actually. But when you set the tone for your team, it's a game changer. When you keep recruiting, you're building a new team. You're building your empire. I love that word, empire. I just think it sounds so fancy, and I'm not fancy, but it sounds fancy. But when you have something, when you see something so amazing happening and you have it, you just can't let go of it. So like, Scentsy's my happy place. Scentsy's never going to get rid of me. Like, they're stuck with me. I'm not stuck with Scentsy. They're stuck with me. That's how I look at it. That's how we all should look at it. Like, Scentsy is lucky to have us, all of you, in this company, because y'all bring something to the table. Okay. And you know what? If your table gets too big, keep extending it. Build a new table for everybody. That's kind of how I just work my business, is everybody's welcome. Like I said, my group page is open for everybody. I can add y'all if you'd like. It's a community page. Don't care. Act like you're one of us. It's fine. But that's just how it should be. Like I said in the beginning, it should never be stewardship versus ownership. It's no. We are all in this together. At the end of the month, we all start back at zero. So we are all certified beginning of the month. You choose how you want to work your business. You choose how you want to lead, and make sure you never ask your team to do stuff that you're not doing, and make sure you take time for you. That's all I have. Does anyone have questions?
You're so amazing. Oh my gosh, my face hurts. I've been smiling so much this whole time. You brought me down so much memory lane of like the early days when we're trying to figure things out and we're working till God knows when, and then we figure it out like, okay, this can't happen anymore. Yep. Oh my gosh, I was just like, I've a million notes. But first, thank you so much for sharing that information that you said you're going to share with us, the documents, because I will say, as long as I've been in longer than you, there's things that I have never even thought to look at on a regular basis. Like, I was actually just on a call with Lori Willis yesterday about like, okay, I feel like there's reports that I'm just not pulling and I'm not consistent, or I'm not doing it consistently enough. And so you have really broken down very specifics that's like, can really make a big difference in everybody's business by paying attention to those things. So I am excited that you shared that with us. I am so excited to start doing it myself, and then really powwowing with the other gals of like how to start implementing it as well. But I do have a couple questions, but does anybody, Susan or Ashley, do you guys have anything that you want to ask before?
No, you can go ahead.
Susan.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry I'm laying down, but it's uncomfortable in my room. I don't have good chairs. I'm living in this bedroom, if none of you know that. I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much for this training. You actually, me being a new superstar director, yeah, I'm going to be there one day, superstar consultant. I am still learning what reports to pull. So thank you for saying what reports, and thank you for saying that you're going to put all these files there, because when I get transitioned back to where we're going to be, I'm going to be implementing new things for my business. So I just wanted to say thanks for sharing.
You're so welcome. And they're so easy. Like I said, people should be doing this as a lead consultant. And that way, when you get to director and when you get to superstar director, because it's going to happen, you're already going to be doing all these things. So it's like, oh, this is nothing new except for just a title. Like, that's literally it. And that way, you're already building leadership mentality as a brand new leader, and then so on. Because the second I always say leader starts at lead consultant when they get their new team member. That's it.
So you really helped me realize when, like I said, you really brought me down. So I had so many aha moments, just kind of like going back to my journey, and my business grew really fast in the very beginning. And I was just doing all the things we're supposed to be doing, the high sales, the parties all the time, recruiting like crazy. But I didn't know, like, you know, director in 4 months, didn't know what the heck that meant. What the heck does director mean? And I think that was a good thing. Like, I love the way you said that it's just a title, because I didn't know what the director meant, I just kept doing what I was doing. And people were following because they were watching what I was doing. And so they were partying and they were recruiting. And it made me, it's just such a big aha of like, you're so right. Leadership is so simple when you're just leading by example and you're just doing the things that we all should be doing. Because I think we make it so much harder when we think that there's something specific that, although like these systems that you've broken down are definitely going to help us identify and make sure people don't slip through the cracks that really are working and need that extra support. Like Susan and I were just talking earlier about how, you know, that connection is just everything. Like, it doesn't have to be your sponsor or your upline, or it could be anybody, but if you are connected with your upline, it's definitely a benefit. So it was really neat to hear that, because I was like, oh, because I've always wondered, why the heck did I have so much success in the beginning? And why has the last few years been a little bit harder for me? And it's because I wasn't doing those things that I was doing so much because of my own crap going on. So of course, like you said, when you stop, everybody else stops. And I was blessed that I put so much work in before that, like my life changed completely 3 years ago, that it was like a well-oiled engine, and the team page kept going and people were still doing things. But I also did see things slow down in a way because the person that was usually leading by example wasn't doing it as much. And so I've seen both sides, and I feel like it was a blessing because, you know, I never understood the people that didn't wake up and just think Scentsy and go to sleep think Scentsy, you know? And so it was a nice way to kind of relate, but then also see, okay, it's hard work. And I love that you said it was earned, because, you know, when I think about, sometimes I'll go through my moments of like being guilty of taking an entire day off. Like, I don't work on Sundays at all, like ever. And sometimes I even work on Saturdays, just depends on what's going on. And then that old data that you have of like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. But it's true. Like, when you work your butt off for a good amount of time, like nobody else will, you get those results and you're able to do things that nobody else can do. And that's what this business really does. And I love that. So I really hope people really, really took that to heart, is that, you know, if you want the things that, you know, all these people that you see are receiving, the flexibility, the freedom, the money, all of that, there is work that was put in that is more than just the average, you know, here and there. It's hard work, but then it's such a different result than if you start like your own business, like a brick and mortar. Like, you still have to show up, you know, because it doesn't stop. And there's this saying about McDonald's franchises, like people like that own McDonald's franchises, they only clear like a couple $100,000 a year. When you really think, I mean, yes, that's good money, but for owning a business, you're also married to that office, that McDonald's, you know, and so the freedom isn't there. You may have a good salary, but people think these McDonald's owners are like millionaires, and that's not necessarily true. But with this type of industry, you can literally build to that and have the freedom that a McDonald's owner could never have. So I love how you shared that. I do have a question regarding, you said that you looked at, that you emailed out in the middle of the month, just kind of what everybody's doing. Hello, that was amazing. Never thought to do that. So what are you showing them? Like, what data are you showing them in that mid-month email?
I send out a top 50 email within just my team.
Okay.
And I say you're in the top 50 out of X amount of consultants within our team. And then I do top 100 for our group. And do the same thing. You're in the top 100 out of our group of X amount of consultants, including directors and above, because people love seeing that, like, directors, and we preach on this, that just because you're a director does not mean that you're like grand and all these things. Again, it's just a title. So we try to say, hey, like, even if you are a lead consultant, you could have more PRV than a director, like, or your paycheck could be more than a director. You don't know. Like, it's your work ethic. It's not your title. And then, so I do that. And then I send out rockstar recruiters. Like, I see that you've sponsored X amount of consultants this month. Or I see you blessed so many lives this month. I'm so proud of you. Way to grow, blah, blah, blah. And I usually throw in like a quote with it. Just stuff like that. Just like the little things, like I said in the beginning, can make a huge impact. It doesn't have to be big and grand to make a big impact. It can be small and simple. And doing those things, like my group itches for those because they're like, who's in the top 100? Who's in the top 50? And then so people, it's like an internal competitive where they're like, oh, I need to be in that. Like, and so next month they're gonna be like, I'm gonna work to be in the top 50, top 100. So it's like internal, like competing with with who they were. But we try to say, like, for the whole new tracker that just came up finally on our workstation, I posted that and I said, hey, trackers are up. But I also said, we're not going to compare. And so everybody in the comments would share theirs and they would say, we're not comparing, we're not comparing, we're not comparing.
Oh, I love it.
Because when they see me, I don't want them to compare just because of my title and everything. My group is also bigger than their personal groups. So it's different. So that's why we all said, we're not going to compare. We're not going to compare. We're not going to compare, because that's not what we do. We don't compare in our group. We try to, and at least not to do that. It's a topic that we talk about all the time, because I know what it's like to feel like when I'm comparing, and I don't want anyone else to ever feel like that towards me. So that's why I get on there and I share, the real and the raw me. Half the time I'm in a huge shirt with a hoodie, like just hot mess, just sharing, because I want them to understand that I'm also human. So that connection with them grows. And then that's when they get super excited to get those emails, because they know who it's from. They know that I sat there, I typed it up, and I sent it out. Like, I took the time. And it's just something that they look forward to. And so I continue to, and I love typing it up. Like, it gets me excited, because I'm like, oh, I know that this person's in top 50, or I know that person's in top 100. So it's a great feeling. So I just continue to do it.
I'm sure it's also a great way for you to stay connected of who's actually, it's another resource of seeing what's going on with people. Like,
Yep.
That is, just to be involved in these reports are very effective of just kind of getting them in your eyes of like what's happening.
Yeah.
I love that.
Our leaders have started doing it too. And so people get like flooded with all these recognition emails, and I'll get messages like from people who've been with other direct sales companies, and they're like, we've never received this much recognition. And I said, you're just getting started. Wait. And so it's a good feeling to see people feel valued from a simple email, an email. Right. And it all gets done through the workstation.
So two things that come to mind that made me think about this is, one, when things were growing really fast, I felt so overwhelmed with just keeping up with my own business and what am I supposed to be doing? And so I would tell myself like, okay, I'm going to do what I can. And I did. And that was for the most part good enough, and then the beauty is just, let's see, I'm April, May, June, July, August. So almost 9.5 years that I've been in. And I just now am at the place mentally, like clarity in my mind, and just ready to do that it brings me joy to put that extra recognition in. And I try to share that with my team, that like, because it's true, we see all these happy things going on with other people, and we're like, oh, it's making people feel good. I want to make people feel good. But if we're not able to do it and commit to it and be consistent, it's not going to be beneficial for anybody, right? And so I like to share that, like, maybe one day you can do that, and just focus on what you can do now. And that could be a goal. Put it on your dream board that you want to be able to put a lot of confetti in every bag, like Chelsea, and so it's so neat that, and then the other thing that kind of parallels with what you just said is about the comparison thing is, I always try to say that there's literally no way that we all can compare to anybody, because even if we click join at the same time on the same date, same year, we all have different personalities, skills that we come to the board with. Like there's people in the company that they have like master's degrees in marketing. You know what I mean? So they like blow up on social media because they know how to do it. And then they think, well, wait a minute, she's already a superstar director and I joined like 3 years before her. And, you know, and there's really no way to really compare when we think about it. Different people in our organizations, different personalities, drives, goals, you know, your availability, your mental and emotional ability to commit in different things. And so I try to say that. However, I always say there's two sides, that we could use that as an excuse, or and just keep doing and running like a gerbil in a little ball, or we can say, okay, Chelsea has these skills that I don't necessarily have right now, but how can I start working on maybe gaining those skills, you know? And that's what you guys are doing right now. Like me, we all have to know that it doesn't matter how long we've been in, what our title is, all that, we always can be learning. I learned so much today. And it also even reminded me of things that I'm like, well, crap, Jess, you haven't done that in a long time. Like, why haven't you done that? Or I had the idea to start it and it never happened, you know? And so that's what's going to happen in our lives, in our journeys, is that the only thing we could do, and I love how you started off with, you've got to give yourself grace and your team grace, and just, I mean, even our clients, for goodness sake, we got to give them grace.
Oracle and home office, we got to give them grace.
Yes, you're right. And you said something earlier about how you got to grow, you know, just build a new team. And, you know, because you hear that, I'm sure you do. Everybody else has teams. They're all like, my team isn't working. They're da-da-da-da. Well, it's true.
The new one.
Yeah, Oracle always said the team that got you to where you are right now is not the team that's going to get you to the next level. And and not even title wise, because Chelsea and I can't go any level higher, but our businesses continue to grow. Our paychecks can continue to grow. And so we have to remember that, like, we can't just be focusing on what's going on right now. We have to constantly be building. And I just feel like you, in a nutshell, just put all these different areas together. And I'm just so grateful. So any last thoughts or questions? Or Chelsea, do you have anything else to say?
And one more thing. I actually shared this on my Instagram story a few days ago. Or last week, where I said, you know, when we compare ourselves to somebody, what we're doing is we're comparing our flaws to somebody's strengths. And that's not fair. Like, that's not like an even playing field, because when we look at somebody and they're doing all these great things and we're just like, oh, well, I can't do that. We're focusing on our flaws instead of focusing on our strengths. So
love that.
What I try to do is, I'm not perfect. I don't want to be perfect. I don't want to do all the things. I know my flaws, and I'm working on my flaws. But when it comes to my business, I focus on the areas where I'm strong at, and then I work on the areas that need work on a lot more. So for systems, that was a flaw that I'm working on. Now, as far as recruiting and PRV and sale and like all that, that's a strength of mine. Recruiting PRV was not always a strength. But because I focused on it, because it was a flaw, it became a strength. So if there's areas in your business where you are comparing to somebody else, you're comparing your flaws, not your strengths. So first off, don't compare. Just don't compare. It's a dangerous thing. Focus on your flaws, fix them, work on them, but then work on your strength, or like focus more on your strengths. Because your strengths are what's going to keep getting you to that next level. And if you continue working on the areas where you're not so good at, eventually they will become a strength of yours. And then you're going to have another flaw come in that you got to work on. So like, you're never going to be perfect. It's going to forever be evolving. And always remember that a new level in this business requires a new version of you. So every single title that you hit requires a new version of you. I was not like this as a superstar director. I was a very shy little lead consultant who did not want to talk to anybody on any type of platform because I was so scared. But this took a new level. When I hit director, I said, okay, I got to start doing calls. So I started doing calls. When I hit star director, I didn't even have time to be a star director because I hit superstar director 2 months after. So I didn't have time to do that. But the second I hit superstar director, it was a whole new level. And I was like, okay, this is going to require a whole new version of me. Like, not changing who I am, but a part of me that I didn't even know I had, like a version, a more strong, more determined type person it's going to bring out a whole new version of you that you thought you may be, but it's going to require a lot more time, determination, and what's the word I'm thinking of? You're just going to have a backbone. That's the word. But like I said, it's going to require a whole new version of you for every single title that you hit. And just have fun in this company, because that's why we're here. We're here to have freedom and fun. The 2 F's, freedom and fun. And that's going to come with work. That's going to come with consistency. That's going to come with building a team, building a new team, whatever it is. It'll all come with that. But just stay consistent and always show up. Always, every single day, show up. Because when you show up, your team shows up. And then when your team shows up, you've got the wheel going. And so if something ever crazy happens in your life, you know it's good. You know it's good. You know it's going to keep going. That's all I have.
That was awesome. I think that is the perfect way to note that I couldn't add anything else. Chelsea, you are amazing. You have such a great heart and so much to learn from. I am so grateful for you and your time. And I can definitely probably talk for everybody that's going to be watching this recording that are going to be like, oh, this is so awesome. So you are great. Thank you for making us all feel so just authentic, and that we're all just a big family, and that we don't need to be sizing each other up to anybody, and we're just all in this together. So we're all in this together.
Oh yeah. I got that far. Let's do this.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, you have a great rest of your day with your family. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, for showing up and watching the recording as well. And any thoughts, please share them on this post, because I'm going to post it on our page. Please share what you thought and what you learned.
And Jessie, I'll send over the link.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye, ladies.